Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Dirty Forks MTB. So, we are in part 3 of a series about beginner's path to new bike day. So in this series, we are going over what to look for in a new bike, mostly for beginners. We talk about trails, we talk about geometry, we talk about components, we talk about how to navigate bike shops, and so on and so forth. Everything that you need to know to get you on a new bike. So stay tuned, because right now we're going to dive into how to navigate a bike shop.
Nice.
Dirty Forks! That is so smooth.
So, bike shops. How do we navigate these places? So, bike shops exist, obviously, to sell you a bike. They are also places that you will likely bring your bike to get serviced, or if you buy a maintenance plan, to get repaired, for flats, for warranty work, and so forth and so on. Bike shops not only want to sell you a bike, they also want to sell you a maintenance program where you would bring your bike in at certain periods, just like your car, certain periods of time, just to get your bike lubed up and any parts that need serviced or changed. Basically keep it running like new all the time. They might also want to sell you upgrades at the point of sale, which can make sense in some cases, but we will get to that in a few minutes. So the way that we navigate a bike shop, the sales portion of the bike shop, is by knowing exactly what we're going in for. What we're walking into the bike shop for. You want to know exactly what you need in a bike and basically have it narrowed down. So if you watch the second part of this series, which was on trails, then you'll know how important it is to get to know your network riding trails. You'll also know how important it is to be honest with yourself and your ability as a rider. What experience level do you actually have, like honestly speaking? Where are you in terms of your skill level? So if you know your local trails, which is where you'll do most of your riding, and you know your ability level, and of course how much your budget is, and narrow your bike choices down to 2, and the best case scenario 1 bike, then you're going into the shop with a plan. You're going in, you have already done all your research, you're going in with a plan, which is like the number one thing to do before you even go into a bike shop. So when entering a shop, you are already going to know mostly what you want. You're already going to know what bike you like, and that it has all of what you want and need to get on the trails now and the trails in the future. Because of this knowledge that you've gained and the research that you've done, you're an informed buyer, and therefore a smart buyer who will not be easily persuaded in different directions. Most importantly, more expensive directions. Bike shops can be very intimidating for some people, as they will use bike language and talk components and geometry and tire widths, brakes, etc., etc., etc. If you do not know about this stuff going in, then you will likely be like, okay, so they're just talking over my head. And so because of this, people can get swayed from what they originally came into the shop for. So let's talk a minute about bike snobbery. You will likely encounter this at some point, unfortunately. I will never understand why this exists. Not all shops are created equal in terms of creating a positive vibe or like a fun atmosphere for buying a new bike or getting your bike serviced or buying new components or upgrading, whatever. Some shops are very forthcoming with their own personal opinions and their own writing likes and dislikes, what they like on a bike that they use. So let me give you a quick example. I went into a bike shop and asked a question about brakes when I was in the midst of researching for a new set of brakes for my Roscoe. And the long story short was the head mechanic came out and basically told me that the brakes I had on my bike are garbage. Actually, those were his exact words, which they are Shimano MT200s. Those brakes are on like budget value, every budget mountain bike hardtail and full suspension out there. Extremely popular brake, extremely cheap, but pretty effective brake to get started on for sure. I don't really want to spend a tremendous amount of money on that bike to put components on that bike because it's a budget hardtail, and also I don't need to do that. I'm not out there to have a crazy spec bike when I don't actually need it. So he proceeded to tell me that he used to live out west and he was a downhill racer and all this stuff, and he always ran Shimano Saints with XTR levers. So basically that's like a $800-900 setup, and that's with taxes and all that stuff. Plus you gotta add on rotors. Then he said, it sounds like you need a different bike, like a better bike. And I said, okay, so what would you recommend out of all the bikes that you have in inventory right now? What bike would you recommend? Because I just wanted to see what he'd say. And he said, I wouldn't recommend any. Like, what? What do you mean you wouldn't recommend any? You work in a bike shop. I'm assuming you want to sell bikes. But he said, no, I would definitely custom build a bike. Okay. So custom building always turns out to be more money than like a stock build from a manufacturer, and because they get their parts for way cheaper than I could ever get it or you could ever get it, because they buy in such mass quantities and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was the end of the conversation. I walked out. Actually, before I did, he says, listen, I don't want to sound like an elitist here, but you need a bike custom built. So I was just like, for the Niagara region? He's like, yeah. I said, have you rode the trails here? So anyway, I digress on that because I don't want this to become that kind of a video. So my point is, you will likely come across bike shop snobbery or bike snobbery out on the trails, whatever. And don't associate yourself at all with it. Just laugh it off and leave. Just leave. Don't even stay to maybe hope it'll change, because it will likely not change. I'm not saying that it won't, but it likely won't change. Now, personal opinions from bike shop staff and experienced riders that work in bike shops or whatever, when you're going to buy your bike, can be a great thing, like an amazing gift to you. But just be careful that it is not elitism. Don't let them try and make you think that you need to spend at least $4,000 to $5,000, which is what that guy tried to make me think, for your first bike. It's just, unless you have the expendable income, by all means go for it. But you really don't need it. You don't need it. I can't think of a situation where you would need to spend that much money for your first real budget hardtail, because by that time it's not budget anymore. So if you feel uncomfortable at all or feel like you don't belong, then it's not the shop for you. It's just not. Go to a different shop. A lot of people have to actually drive out of their area, their region, to find a good shop. Just know that you might have to go to a few shops before you settle down on a decent one. So pick out the bike or bikes. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you narrowed it down to 1 or 2 bikes, the best case scenario being 1. So pick it out or pick them out, the ones that you went in there for. Let the salesperson know you've done a ton of research and narrowed it down to these bikes that you've picked out. Test it or them. Get on it. Ride it. Make sure you take it down the street a little bit. Now, it's not going to be the same as taking it on the trails. I know that. You'd be very fortunate right now to find a bike shop that would have rentals. If you're in like a prime mountain biking area, bike shops will likely have rentals, but probably not of the bike you want. You already established that you like mountain biking, so there's no point in renting one, especially a brand that you didn't want. Or maybe they suggest, okay, I don't have this brand, but I have this brand, but it has exact same components with some minor variations. It has the exact same geometry and whatever. Okay, that's okay. Maybe rent that and test it out. As long as it's comparable, like very closely comparable. By now, you know that your choices have solid components, great geo for your intended trails, so you don't have to concern yourself with any of that, components or geometry or whatever. The concern now is the fun type of concern, and that is, like I said, which one suits your fancy. Can come down to colors, the geometry shapes contained within the frame, the colors of the components, etc., etc. Me personally, I love black colored stanchions on the fork as opposed to like the silver color or the raw metal color. I love the black stanchions on the fork. It just, yeah, to me it's a personal preference. The silver just offsets too much and I just like it blacked out. So it comes down to the fun type of decisions that you want to make. How does the bike look? How do you feel on the bike? Which one feels better? Which one's more comfortable? Even down to the saddle. Every bike company has different saddle on their bike. So, it comes down to that. Don't base it on grips or anything like that, because those are the things that are so easily changeable. So, just have fun with it at this point. Okay, so you've already found a great shop. They're treating you like gold. They want your business. They're invested in you as a client and hoping that they can service your bicycle needs for years to come. This is what you want. You just want to enjoy the process at that point. So now you've made your decision. You're at the checkout. They ask you if you want to add a service plan. This is obviously up to you. If you're the type that thinks you're going to get some of your own tools and do some minor or major repairs, then I'd say no. But if you're not that type of person and not mechanically inclined and don't own a tool and don't ever want to own a tool, then I'd say probably you want to think maybe yes on that. One of the largest contributing factors to having an absolute blast on your bike and to always have a blast on your bike is to have a bike that functions properly. Maintenance is a major consideration and factor when buying a bike, okay? Whether you do it yourself and you know you're gonna do that, or you just want to bring it in and just have at her. I'll take my bike back in a few days and ride it out of the shop like it was brand new again. It is a major consideration. Know before you go into the shop if you want a maintenance plan or not. It can be worth the extra money down the road. Your shop is going to want to service your bike. That's how they make their money after sale. They make more money off service than they do on sale. It's just like cars, So just think about that before you go in as well. Really think about that one. That's actually a pretty major thing. A lot of people overlook that or don't even think about that at all. The other thing they might ask you about is upgrades. If you know you'll want, say, like different tires or a different dropper post or better brakes than what comes on stock, then this is likely the best time to buy an upgrade. But that's only if you really know that you want an upgrade right away. This is the perfect bike for you, but I wish it had a little bit more travel in the dropper post. Okay, well we can sell you this dropper post that has 150 millimeters of travel as opposed to 125 millimeters of travel for this much money, and we'll offset because we'll give you this much money back on your stock component. My recommendation is to forget all that unless you really, really know, okay? Don't get talked into upgrades if you don't know that you want or need to upgrade. When you want to upgrade, it's because you know you need to. So always my recommendation is ride the bike as it came off the shelf, stock. Just ride it stock, at least for a season. And then make your decisions after that. Okay, maybe I need like more travel in the fork or just a better overall fork. Maybe I want to lighten the bike up with some lighter components. Just recommend riding the bike as it is stock. You buy the bike as is, you buy a service plan if you need it, and you walk out of the shop a very happy person. So most bikes come with warranty on the frame. Usually it's a lifetime warranty or a very long warranty on a frame. There are also limited warranties on the parts of your bike, the components. This is the time to ask about the manufacturer's warranty on the frame and the manufacturer's warranty on the parts. The manufacturer of the bike usually doesn't warranty the parts. It's the actual manufacturer of the parts that will warranty the parts, and the manufacturer of the frame that will warranty the frame. Now is the time to ask because you will have to register your new bike so that if you do have a warranty claim down the road, your bike is registered, the day that you bought it, the place that you bought it, the time that you bought it, the amount of money you paid for it, blah, blah, blah. It all goes into registration with your name. And likely with the bike shop's name as well, because the manufacturer will do warranty claims only through a bike shop. You want to know that, you want to know about how to register and what to do there. So some sort of direction from the bike shop would be helpful in that aspect. All right, so now you know what to do at the shop. Don't get intimidated. Know what you want, why you want it, know what you need and why you need it. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for number 4. If you haven't seen the previous ones, go back. I'll link all the other videos in the description of this one. And take care out there. Have fun. See you on the next one.